Hello, hello, hello. You join us live for the 12th Effing F1 Show under the lights at home for the Effing F1 Show 2020 season review. Season's over. Strange and interesting season that it was. As always, I'm joined by Duff. Hello, Duff. How you doing?
Hello. How's everyone doing?
All well, hopefully. Hopefully the sound is all right. If it's not, now's the time to say. As you know, we're now on my Twitch channel for a little bit. Whether it stays or not, we will see. I'd like to say before we start, a massive thank you to Jez for helping us out this year, getting us going, and everything else. And we thought we'd just give him a little special shout out with a little picture I managed to find from back in the day. But seriously, thank you for all your help. It's kind of weird pressing the button myself and counting down 3, 2, 1, but that's I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what I missed. I didn't get a 3, 2, 1.
I know. It just came in to my mind then that I didn't do it, but never mind. That's all.
Well,
yes.
And away we go.
And yes, we did wave the right way. Apparently that's cute. You know us, professionals to the core. Yeah.
What we do.
But we will have you back as a guest host, Jez. I mean, I'll
as
get
long
rid
as
of
you look like that and have a flower in hand.
You see, shortly after that, the daffodil got burnt. But anyway, that's for another day. Right, I'll get rid of that now to spare you, Jez, because we can't see the chat. All right. Okay, so first off, we thought we'd have a quick think about how we thought the season went, our overall thoughts on it as well. So, Def, the virtual microphone is yours.
Well, obviously in doing research and going back over the season, I didn't realise how much of a split season it was. I don't want to call it the first half, but it was kind of the first half. Just seemed, I don't know, a lot happened, but not massively overall. And then the second half of the season just seemed to go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, it just took off, didn't it? It was.
Yeah, it really did. It was. I don't know if it was that win by Gasly that suddenly made people realise, holy crap, anyone could win this season.
Yeah, it's not
anyone can win a race, and they just went, "Fuck it, let's go mental," and they did.
They did. They certainly did. I mean, we had wins for Perez, for Gasly. You know, it just took off, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I think when you have that, I mean, I think whether people had given up hope of winning races because of the sort of Mercedes monotony, and then suddenly, oh, well, actually, if things happen, we've got a chance here, like you said. It seemed.
I think this is the first season in a while where, although Mercedes won their 7th constructors in a row, Lewis Hamilton won another championship.
Oh, did he?
Watching it back, I think this season they had lots of little niggles and struggles throughout the whole thing. There was constant. If the track wasn't perfect, their tires really struggled.
Yeah, definitely. I think just looking at the chat for people throwing their highlights in, the little Cuculate 6, there was a fire. Yes, there was, and we'll come to that later on.
Was there? Oh.
I did. There was a shoey. Yes, there was a shoey. Don't worry.
There was a belated shoey first.
Yes.
Because he forgot.
That's
and then
right.
the second time we finally got the shoey. And the biggest shock of all that is Lewis joined in.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Captain Miserable joined in.
Captain Miserable. Captain Miserable actually cracked a smile, and he wasn't even on his bloody scooter, which is good news as well. I think
for mentioning that, when Jez comes on, I think he should do a shoey.
Yeah, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? I'm sure he's up for it. It'll be fine.
The shoey was not a highlight. Well,
I don't know. It's a highlight, low light, vom light. You know, it's all good. So
after I've spent 12 hours. What was your thoughts of the season?
My thoughts of the season were similar to you in many ways. I don't think it was the best season we've ever seen, if I'm brutally honest. But again, that's mainly because, like you said, the first half it wasn't exactly the action-packed and great racing. The second half probably qualifies as one of the best seasons for a while in terms of.
Yeah.
I think the highlights for me personally were going back to decent tracks, Afternoon Tamsinaki. going back to some good
Okay.
tracks, some proper classic tracks that I really enjoyed. That was good. A couple of them hopefully will have made it onto next year's calendar as well.
Yeah, we'll
Other
get on to that later.
Yeah, other highlights. George for me was a highlight.
Yep.
Even I mean the highlights of the first part of the season was probably Lando's podium in the first race. He finished P3, if I
Yep.
remember correctly. Other highlights were I was pleased for Perez. I was pleased for that. Uh, and yeah, it's I don't think Lewis winning another title was a highlight for me personally. Those regular viewers of the show will know my thoughts on that, and we'll come to that later, I'm sure. And I think the main highlight was just that we had a season. There were many
Yes.
sports that last year, for obvious reasons, got completely screwed over, and there was no season. There was no no tournaments, no anything. For example, there was no Euros, Olympics got cancelled, all of that kind of stuff. And F1 did a damn good job in the end of keeping it going. So that's a highlight
Yeah.
for me as well.
Considering all the teams, all the media, everything had all rolled out to Australia.
Yeah.
As
the-
far as everyone was aware, the Australian Grand Prix was going ahead.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I think it was a McLaren team member
Yes, it was. Yeah.
had COVID, and then it was like, oh, and so that got cancelled, and everything had to be moved back. Then Monaco cancelled, and then tracks started snowballing. We got news that Vietnam wasn't going to go ahead due to some dodgy business dealings.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the Dutch Grand Prix pulled out as well, and it was like, well, season's cancelled. That's it.
It's done, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
done. Yeah,
no
I thought
thinking.
that was it as well. I thought, flip flops, we're done for it, done for Formula
Yeah,
One. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. Just think you would have missed
no,
our lovely faces. Oh, fantastic.
exactly. And that was another thing this began.
Yes, that's very true. Very true.
So,
And here we are on number 12, and like and I say it every week. Well, a couple of months ago now. I don't know where those 12 have gone, but they are good. It is good fun.
yeah, and what kind of brings us into what happened in between in the dark times
The dark times.
is what we're also doing here is a lot of the drivers got onto esports
God,
and streaming on Twitch.
that was one of the best things about COVID, and there aren't many good things about COVID, but one of the good things about COVID was the F1 e sports. And once the drivers got involved, as in the proper drivers, not the shitty
Yeah,
reserve drivers and random celebrities who were getting lapped 20 times in a 20-lap race, uh, it was really good. And that sort of laughter with Lando and Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Albon got involved, and
yeah,
even Bottas did a couple of races. I
yeah.
think as
Nico
well.
Rosberg was in on a few as well.
Yep, Johnny Herbert did a
Right.
couple.
Yeah.
Although
And what
that
was
was
it? There was a big controversy as well, wasn't there? Because one guy got someone else to drive for him.
yes, yeah, uh that was in the professional series. I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was who was it? He lost his drive. He was in IndyCar, I think it was actually one of the
yeah,
IndyCar drivers in did because they did a similar thing for IndyCar. Yeah, I can't remember who it was now, but he lost his drive because he claimed it was him, but it wasn't him.
yeah. Absolutely mad.
Oh, Jez
But
has got a
then,
highlight as well. Go on.
oh, season started, you didn't even know each other. That is very true.
Very true.
And sometimes I still wish I didn't. No,
Me
only
too.
joking.
Yeah, but I'm just jealous of his beard.
Wow. I grew it myself.
Me too. Funny enough.
But a little while later, we finally got news that the season was actually going to go ahead. And 8
Absolutely.
races had been confirmed because one of the rules is for Formula One championship to be deemed a credible working championship, you have to have at least 8 races. And so that's what they did.
And I was happy enough with that, to be honest. I thought, well,
Yeah,
at least,
definitely.
at
At
least it's
least we thought
solid.
we'd get something.
Yeah, there was still an outside hope then of being able to get to the British Grand Prix because we were kind of at that lull again. And I was like, oh, you never know, we might get there. And then obviously,
Yeah,
we
we'd had
didn't.
the first kind of lockdown March, April,
Mm.
and then with saying with the first 2 back-to-back Austrian Grand Prix not being until July, it was like, okay, we can have fans at this thing again. This is gonna be
Yeah.
great.
And
Or so we thought.
hang on, there's been a comment in the chat that this can't continue. So, Jez, there you are. People can't get used to drinking tea and coffee watching this, apparently, Duff. So I've had to make an emergency trip to the beer fridge.
Well, I've got A&W root beer.
Oh, that
So it's
counts.
not technically alcoholic, but it's beer.
Give the public what they want. So we had eight races. We thought, whoop, here we go, and then they threw a few more at it, and we kind of had not far off a full season, really, was it? In the end.
Yeah. So what was it? To start with, we had there was double Austria and double Silverstone.
With Hungary was in the
Hungary
middle.
was in there. Then Spain, Belgium, and Italy still said, okay, let's go. Which Italy surprised me, considering how hard they were hit with COVID to start with.
Yeah, that was, if there was any of them I didn't think would happen, it was going to be Italy. But like you've said there, Formula One did a very good job of that bubble.
Yeah, massively.
If you think of how many people it takes to get a Formula One car even started, and then you've got all the race crew, the marshals, the teams.
Yeah, you think teams like Mercedes and that have got what 800 plus people.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good job. So the first Formula One, well done. Well done.
Yeah, very, very well done, and just managing it all. It was so well done.
It's the first race, Austria.
Yeah, leads us on to The Hills Are Alive, which you know all about yesterday.
I did. You know, that song was stuck in my head the rest of the day. I was humming it even at 6 o'clock. I was like, anyway, I won't do it now. So yeah, I think everyone knew what was going to happen in this race in terms of who was going to win it, and, or which car was going to win it. I should say.
Yeah, the whole thing about these first 8 for me, well, no, first 7 really, is they're all tracks we've been to time and time again. It's all kind of the right time of year that we would normally go to them. So the teams have got tons of track data. They've got everything they need on the tracks. So there's nothing really to say at all from these first 7 races that it's going to be any different from any other season. And to be perfectly honest, for most of it, it wasn't.
No, you're right.
I mean, what did we have? In both Austria races, we had the first one we got Leclerc and Lando on the top, which was a good mix.
It was a shock for Ferrari, wasn't it? Because Ferrari had a shocking start. The car was useless, and then somehow Leclerc, to be fair to him, managed to get it there. And that was when they first started pressing the "fuck Vettel" button.
Yes.
Also, just throw that in, but then for the second one, normal service was resumed, wasn't it? Lewis, Bottas,
The one thing
Verstappen.
from the first one though is that Lewis with his 5-second penalty for the crash with Albon, and Lando managed to push hard enough that he got 3rd place by 1/10 of a second.
That's when they started calling him Last Lap Lando, wasn't it?
Yep.
Last Lap Lando. That was you're absolutely right.
But yeah, the second Austrian Grand Prix, the Styrian Grand Prix, was business as usual.
Yeah. I mean,
comfortable Mercedes 1-2.
There's a massive coincidence with us starting this show to the races getting more exciting as well. We'll come to that.
I think that was our cutthroat F1 F1 racer of the week.
Yep, win or lose.
We just need to absolutely either destroy or create amazingness for whoever that was.
Indeed, we cursed a few of them, didn't we? To be fair.
Yeah, it was proper like commentator's curse. It was amazing.
Then we went on. Go on, sorry.
Comment from Jez there. Professional sports could learn a lot from F1. F1 managed the whole pandemic situation. Yeah, definitely.
Very much so. So, Hungary was my usual race for Hungary. I quite like Hungary. So it's a good track. Plus, it was wet, which is always action-packed generally.
Yes.
Particularly when it's changeable. So that was good.
I've got in my notes here. I've listed, for those people that don't know, in our notes, I've listed each part of the race is listed 1, 2, 3, and so on. But on this, we have a -1 and a 0.
Yes.
because before we even got to the grid to start the race, Max skidded off and went straight into the wall
Yes.
on his reconnaissance lap round onto the grid. That just shows you how wet it was.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, we can. I mean, we do have a little clip if people would like to see it. It's,
Ooh.
hang on 1 second. We might as well test it now because if it doesn't work, it's not going to work later on. Oh, here we go.
If it explodes, then
There we go. There he is. Poof! Straight into the wall.
Oh dear.
and yeah, not even in a race. It's just la 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 la, straight off. And I tell you what, Red Bull did an amazing job from that point to the start of the race of fixing that car
Because if we skip to the
for
end,
him to race.
Because they saved the day. You guys are
Yeah,
legends. Thank you
amazing.
so much.
because he got back to second, didn't he?
Yeah.
And, that was pretty impressive. And,
Yeah, considering at that point, I bet he thought, well, that's it, I'm out.
Well, I think we all did, didn't we? There was a collective sigh of, and then there's the usual sort of procession is generally coming, and
Yeah.
but it
Which
wasn't quite
then-
the case.
No, it was a. Oh yeah, it was a good. The whole thing with these first 7 races, although I said they were in some cases they were kind of processions, but the midfield battles in every one of them, there was so many great like lower down battles for places and for points in these races. It was just the top kind of 3 were just anywhere all the time. It's the same one.
Definitely been the case this year. There's been a lot more. Although Mercedes have remained not untouchable, but slightly in front, the midfield has really closed up a lot, and those kind
Massively.
of battles has been great. It's been very good.
Yes. Yeah, they have been absolutely superb. Which
Yeah.
leads us on to the double header at Silverstone,
Yes,
starting with the British Grand Prix.
that was it.
Which
We love Silverstone. It's just the best.
Yep. And
It's-
what sort of brought out in this race was just massive tyre problems.
Definitely.
Lap 2, Magnussen had a crash with Albon to bring out the safety car. Then lap 13, we got another safety car because Kvyat's tyre exploded and he had a massive crash.
We have that one as well. Yeah.
Then we had Kimi with a puncture later on 48. Bottas's tyre punctured, well, delaminated at 50. And here we are.
That was a heck of a crash. Then
Yeah.
I think we all.
Oddly, one of the lighter of the big crashes this season.
Yeah. You can just see the back tire just dying.
Yeah.
Can't you? And you don't want that. That's a fast corner as well there.
Yeah, massively.
Anyway, so but Stroll black flagged. Yep, Kimi breaks wing. Bottas. Yeah, because they were all because we all thought Lewis was going to have to pit, or we were hoping Lewis was going to have to pit, or I certainly was, and just to see him.
Oh, that brings it home on 3 tyres.
He did 3 wheels on my wagon, as they say. And
To be fair, he did well to keep that car going for nearly half a lap on 3 tyres.
I was screaming for him to be black flagged and disqualified, as you can imagine.
But I'm sure Stroll was black and white flagged. Oh no, that was track limits earlier on.
Yeah.
That's another big thing that kind of came in massively more this season than anything. Anything else. That's how big a thing it is. It's choking me up. Is that track limits became a massive thing, and even influenced kind of what was happening in some of the later races.
No, you're right, and it all happened, didn't it? It was, I think, Silverstone. I mean, this is, pardon me, when we were still going to Zandvoort, they thought that the tyres weren't going to last, and and there he is, look, coming around the last corner. He's probably waiting to get in to his scooter. And,
They could have put a scooter tyre on instead.
I'm sure they've got more scooter tyres than anything else. And, I think, track limits was huge this year. It kind of got out of hand at one point.
Yes, I'm trying to think when it was. It's when when Sainz on the first lap completely smashed the wall.
Mm,
Italian Grand Prix, when everything got going,
that's right.
they had to take that stupid route, and he just ended up destroying the front of his
That's
car.
right. Yeah, he did, and he caught the front wheel as he came back towards the
Yeah.
track. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember. And then we had the 70th anniversary Grand Prix with Super
Yeah.
Sub.
70 years this has been going, and Ferrari, I believe, has been in every single one.
So they say. For another day. So in comes Hulk because Perez was ruled out with COVID. And,
Yeah, Super Sub.
the boy did well, to be fair.
Yeah, quali third,
Yeah.
considering he'd been out of a car for a while.
There was a lot of debate about whether the cars are too easy to drive, someone could just step back in like that. But I think Hulk's a decent driver anyway, so that probably helped quite a lot. And,
Yes. He hadn't been out for too long, though. I
No,
wonder if
only-
it's going to be different in this season, this coming season, with Fernando being out for a couple of years, what difference that actually does make.
so glad to have Fernando back.
Yes.
We'll come to that. So, this race, Vettel spins first corner. Lando goes down ninth. My God, that was a bad start for him.
Yeah,
else do we have?
massively.
Max told to back off the tyres on lap 11. So this is related into the delamination thing again, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Pit stops.
Yeah.
Hamilton pits, and then Max needs to push because he was catching him. And again, the midfield battles were ace. It was
Yes. Yeah, absolutely brilliant in this again.
very good. That's the kind of race that if you're there, you can actually keep track of, because you always know who's coming around first and winning. But if there's loads of little battles that are going on, it's much easier to watch. So Merck's damaged the tyres. Red Bull pits, and then that's right. Bottas and Max pit at the same time. I can remember that.
And it's very, very close on the way out, and then a big old battle, of which then Max takes Bottas, and then just goes straight on to take Lewis.
And Max won, which is great.
Yeah.
And
finally our first non-Merc win of the season.
Yeah, the first of a few, which is good. Which is good. From there, we went to Barcelona, Spain.
Aha! And Perez is back.
Yeah, thank God. And
got over his COVID.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a theme next year as well. So I think it's still going to be bits and bobs. Well, next year, this year, I should say. Keep doing that. So it was Hamilton, Bottas, Max, Perez, and Stroll on the grid. Good performances for the pink Mercs there in qualifying, which is another topic.
Oh yeah, the pink Mercs will make a. To be fair, the pink Mercs have been there or thereabouts the whole season.
Yeah, definitely.
Their name, if you look at a top 5 all the way down for every race, usually mostly Perez, but you can tell whose dad owns the team by who's there this season.
That's ridiculous. Very ridiculous.
Yeah, Perez did, and it's kind of this whole first part of the season with him, even with him being out for COVID, he was always there, but was almost kind of invisible.
Yeah.
Because he never got talked about. It wasn't till later in the season when it was like, holy crap, this guy's got no drive next season. But he's actually been doing amazing.
Yeah, he did really well. And it sort of says it all that Red Bull go, oh, thank you, we'll have you for nothing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see him in the Red Bull next year, because, I mean, he had his chance at McLaren, but I don't think he was that complete as a driver back then. It was a long time ago now.
No, I don't think it was his time.
No, I think you're right. But we'll see how he does in the Red Bull against Mr. Verstappen.
Yes. Yeah.
Should have put my Max cap back on, should I?
Yeah.
It's downstairs now. I'm not going downstairs.
So coming on from not really much happens in lots of great midfield battles going throughout the entire race. But yeah, Hamilton first, Max second, Bottas third. I mean, kind of thing we've come to get used to in the last few seasons now.
Standard, isn't it?
Which moves us on to probably both of our favourite tracks is Belgium.
Absolutely. I hope we can go this year. It'll be fantastic. I mean, again, not the most exciting of races. They all know that track like the back of their hands. Yeah, I'll have a snack as well. And of course, what is the choice of snack?
Few different things here. I mean, Perez tried a few, or Racing Point tried a few different things with tyres and that when the safety car was brought out on lap 11 for a crash between Giovinazzi and Russell. Perez didn't go in and tried to just push, and then kind of half distance he then really started to struggle.
Yeah.
And that was him pushed right to the back of the grid.
Yeah, it didn't work well then, did it, to be fair? And Lewis won. Guess who was second?
Yep.
To Mr. Bottas, and then Max.
Yep.
Little cute girl 86. You'll be pleased that Danny Rick came in fourth. That'll be
good. There's a really good race by Renault there with Danny Rick in fourth and Ocon in fifth.
Yeah, as a team, that was a decent result for them, to be fair, wasn't it? Very good.
And then we move on to what I would class as the start of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is where F1 2020 became, I don't know, probably one of the standout seasons over the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. We have no doubt. I have a clip of that instant you're going to come to shortly.
Yeah, this
Leclerc.
Qualifying, typical top two, Hamilton and Bottas. Sainz managed to do an amazing job of getting into third, Perez fourth, and Max down in fifth. But yeah, the race kicked off, and boy did it kick off!
Oh, didn't it just? Didn't it just? It was when we had Vettel with the polystyrene blocks, poor polystyrene blocks. Thank God they had spare, because I don't know what would have done otherwise.
This is the track where track limits became like the biggest thing to my knowledge, because on one of the corners, if you say it was an S shape, if on that first corner you came wide, you weren't allowed to rejoin in the middle of the S and come back. You had to go round wide and go through two little barriers where they were polystyrene blocks, and then come back on the track against the wall. But as you're about to see in a video, it's not always that easy.
No, quite correct. It's pardon me. YouTube's playing up. One moment. We'll be right back. Where's it gone? Oh, you know, technology is fantastic, isn't it? And
oh yes, as we found out with my stream yesterday.
It was science, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where's that gone? Carry on talking. I'll come back to you in a minute.
So yeah, once we got past that, in that same area, Vettel had a brake failure on lap 6, which then he smashed through those polystyrene blocks in some sort of what was the TV show? Stars in Their Eyes moment, where you come out of the smoke, and he came bursting through the polystyrene barriers. It properly looked like it was supposed to, and this was some sort of scene in a movie.
Here we go. I've found the Vettel one. It's quite funny.
Aha, yes.
Yeah.
But this is the same corner again with the Sainz corner.
Whoopsie. Ripped polystyrene blocks.
Yep. What did they ever do to him?
I know. Like I said, it's a good
job.
That
was definitely a precursor to what happened later on, because after that he was DNF.
Yeah.
And we got our first safety car as K-Mag stopped out on track. So this brought up our first safety car, and this, as I remember this bit, because it made you, when we get to, I think about 8 to 10 laps later, made you super happy. But the safety car was deployed. Hamilton jumped into the pits. And then we were like, hang on, Why's no one else gone into the pits? What's going on?
When,
And we had no clue what had happened. And 2 laps later, everyone suddenly starts pouring into the pits. It's like, okay. And it turned out that I completely forgotten this was a thing, but the here we go, yeah. The pit lane closes once the safety car comes out.
Safety car, box.
Hard tire.
Copy, Lewis.
Here we
2
go.
weights to change.
Watch that red stop. There it is.
Going to the medium.
Here he comes.
Yep.
Bye.
I'd completely forgotten that was a
The
thing.
entry should be closed.
And by the sounds of it, so had Mercedes.
Yeah, copy, Lewis. It was a late message. It was a pit lane entry was closed.
Was it closed?
Just checking. We're just checking when the message came up.
Ridiculous.
Obviously, it was closed.
Yeah.
As we later found out, and yeah, that was almost a highlight of the season, really. It's, for me.
But before we found out what his fate was with that, we had a massive crash for Charles Leclerc for the same problem as Vettel with a brake failure.
Yep, we did, and that was one hell of a
Properly
smash.
hit the wall.
I just need to find the right clip. There it is. Hang on. We had
Definitely
it
the
here.
season of the crash.
Wasn't it just? That was a big crash. Here it is.
See, even they just said it was a big crash.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really hit that one. Really
Yeah,
hit
massively.
that hard. It was not a pleasant ride, because that parabolic is a fast corner. Very fast corner.
Yeah, massively. And that red flagged the race, our first red flag of the season.
Yeah, and there was many more to come.
Oh, was there? Yeah.
God, jeez.
I think one race in the future, I think we might have had 2 red flags in a race.
Yeah, we were live rooming. We were on for like 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it was mad.
Oh, cheese
Then,
on toast. Nice.
on the restart, we had Stroll flying off the track as well, who managed to bring it back on. But with the massive crash, everyone was so massively out of order that on the restart, we had Hamilton obviously first, Gasly was second, Kimi Raikkonen was third, and
That's right.
Giovinazzi was fourth.
Yeah,
I reckon they'd have taken that all day long for it to finish that way.
Definitely. If you can see the last bits here. There we are.
I need one more lap.
One more lap he needed.
Hi.
Okay, Esteban, fantastic job there. Fantastic job. Well done, mate. P8
Yeah,
from P12.
such a great end
Not
to the
bad
race.
at all. Daniel, P6. Good points for the team again. Well done, mate.
Yeah, copy. I disagree. I think we missed out completely this race. There was a massive
Okay,
opportunity.
just hold it on the radio, please. Hold it on the radio. We'll talk about it in the office. Thank you.
Tantrum.
No, we have to face.
Please, do
what's the
not
reality?
talk
Esteban,
on
this
the
is not
radio.
a place.
That told him, didn't it? I just thought it was worth a quickie. And,
Definitely. But yeah, great final battle with Hamilton having his 10-second penalty. It properly opened up the grid and everyone was vying for that win.
Definitely.
They were like hyenas that could smell blood.
And
they all wanted the first bite.
well, yeah. I mean, it was nice to see a completely different podium, wasn't it? To be fair. And,
Oh God, yeah. Was it Gasly, Sainz, and Stroll on the podium? What a mix!
Fantastic news. And then we got more races. What do you want?
I know. We had our first 8. We were like, okay, that's ended on a brilliant note. And then here you go. We'll chuck more at you.
So we had the Tuscan Grand Prix, the Russian Grand Prix. We came back to Germany, Portugal, Italy again to Imola, Turkey, and then two races at Bahrain, one on the fantastic track and one on the normal track. And and then Abu Dhabi was a bit of a damp squid, but we'll come to that.
The other thing is when we found out about Bahrain, it was the first week is the standard track, and then the second week, which was dubbed the Oval, would be the outside of the track, which we hadn't been on part of since I think 2010.
Yeah, but when they
when
changed
it
the
was
layout.
full length course. And yeah, there was a lot of talk. I mean, I was guilty of it myself, saying, well, it's basically just 4 straights with a couple of corners. How interesting is that going to be? And spoiler alert, you will find out I was very much proved wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Should we have a look at the at some bits from MOKKA? I guess the first bit of action was the first lap with Gasly when he hit Kimi, etc. And then lap 6 was when the real action started. Let's pull that.
Yeah, with quali, it just looked as though it was going to be a standard parade.
The safety car has gone, the lights gone.
There you go.
And there's a big crash at the back, and that is the Alfa Romeo, and also the
rather large crash.
And we've got another safety car.
And the worst, what was that? That was on the restart.
Yeah, lap 6.
That was stupid from
So we'd already had, was it, Gasly had hit Kimi.
Here we go.
Proton and Max.
Wow. And then he slides into him there. That could have been really nasty, that.
That was only 6 laps in on a restart.
Oh my god.
I still think Latifi was partly to blame for that.
Yeah.
Because he started going fast, so the behind him thinks, okay, we're going. He massively swerves out of the way, and yeah, there was no choice from there on in.
No, you're right. Absolutely right.
But all that led from a 4-car crash beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time we got underway, there was only 13 cars left on the grid.
Yeah, but then it was just what a race that was. What a race. And another red flag. 12
This
cars
is
left.
the worst thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Yeah, it was. Genuinely was. It was like having schoolboy races on the track.
At times it was pretty shocking, wasn't it? It was,
yeah, massively, massively.
Very, very, very weird. So that was that race. Who won it in the end? So Hamilton, Bottas, and Albon. That was. So that was his first podium, Albon, I think, of the season.
Yeah, it was indeed.
Yeah.
When the future looked so bright for him.
But
once again, look who came 5th.
Perez, yeah. No,
yeah.
It's a good point there, mate.
He's always there. If you go back through, that's why I picked top 5 qualies and top 5 of the race. Go back through, his name's always in one of them.
It is. It's very true. Even if you look at the next race, the Russian race, he's there. He qualified 5th. A note on that one. Yes. So where are we? Sorry. Blah blah blah. We're on to Russia.
Russia, yeah.
So that was Hamilton, Max, Bottas, Perez, and Danny Rick in terms of quali.
Yeah. Perez 4th again in quali, having a great season.
Not the most exciting of races, probably not. It's there was a couple of good battles. Lewis got his 2 5-second penalties for his practice start via violations, as in I think he started about 10 meters further forward than he should have done for his practice starts, but didn't do it once, did it twice. So then I think one of them subsequently got given back to him, didn't they? I think, if I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah.
So he only lost 5 seconds, but he still had a good cry about it, obviously. It's Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, of course, yeah. He went on and on and on and on and on about it.
Oh, they can't do that to me. Oh, yes, they can. Rules are rules, and that's under the part of track limits.
But once again, this is another one of those races where, and not a lot really happened, but there were so many good midfield battles again.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a massive, massive scrap early on between Russell Lando and Alex Albon. That was great. That lasted a good few laps. With Russell actually managed to hold them off. And then kind of closer to the end, Gasly, Lando and Albon had a brilliant scrap. Even this was just for the last few points.
Yeah, definitely.
Such a good battle.
That's certainly true. It was pardon me, sorry, multitasking. Yeah, absolutely. It's just need to get.
But yeah, that was Bottas, Verstappen, and Hamilton. Your top 3 there. Perez finished 4th again, picking up the points. But then we moved to a track we haven't been to in a very long time. In a very odd part of the year that you normally would not have
Yeah, wrong time
arranged.
of year for the weather, wasn't it? It's,
Yeah.
because they had the fog issues, so it was practice 1 and 2 was cancelled due to fog.
Yep.
Which is kind of like a bit of a trial for what they want to try and do with Formula One anyway. But we'll come to that later on the format for next year. Yeah, I like the Nürburgring. It's a good track. The first time for 7 years we went back to the Nürburgring. I'm reliably informed. No one made the first corner. That's quite correct. They all went flying on because they just hadn't had the practice. And it goes to show if you take away the practice, how much it evens it out.
Yes. Yeah, massively.
Because there's a couple of races later on where there was a 2-day race, wasn't there, where there was no Friday as well, and that it did make a difference. So that was interesting. Hamilton goes past Bottas, because he locked up. Russell hit by Kimi's brake suspension, for which he got a lovely 10-second penalty for. Albon in the wars again, Duff.
Yep.
This is where it
Smashing
starts to
people up.
unravel a bit for him, isn't it?
Yes.
Albon, I get the feeling. From the mid-season to the end, he started to feel the pressure, perhaps a good way of putting it.
Definitely.
And you could see in his driving. I mean, he was unlucky early on in the season when Hamilton took him out when he was en route for a podium. But
looking back through these, I mean, he's another one similar to Perez. I forgot how well Albon had actually done in that first half of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to Max, it should be Hamilton, Bottas 1-2 or variations of, and Max and him variations of between those four for the top four. But I was surprised how many times he was kind of 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah.
And he was kind of in there, but I think Perez just did a better job.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of engine problems, one for Bottas, one for Lando. Lando was doing well, if I remember correctly, and until the engine started playing up, and obviously he retired, which was a shame. Big Lando fans on this show. Safety car with a restart. Max and Danny Rick battle for second. 15 cars were left at that point after the carnage, and then the usual happened. We had a Hamilton win. I don't know.
He matched Michael Schumacher for 91 wins.
Yes,
the highest amount of wins of any driver.
And that is fair. That's fair play to him. I'll give him that. But I think we should just pause for this little clip, just for Lil Cute Girl 86, and for everyone else that loves this. For those that don't know, about obviously Danny Rick finished third, but he forgot to do the shoey on the podium. So what he did was this. I'll turn it up for you all.
All right, so the shoe is off. I think I was so
Hope you're all
caught
eating your tea.
in the podium, and obviously it's been a while. And everyone after was like, "Why didn't you do a shoey?" I was like, "Oh man." So anyway, here it is.
Oh God.
Belated, but better late than never.
Story of my life. Here it comes,
Good
folks.
stuff.
Get yourselves ready.
All right, cheers, everyone.
Oh God. A whole 4 hours worth of sweat in this boot as well for you all. Why? Why would you do it? And there you go. Your first shoey of the stream. Wow.
Yep.
There we go. That actually makes me feel ill. Don't worry, there's another one coming yet.
But because of that,
Cyril
there
the
was
Squirrel.
a bet, wasn't there, with Cyril? Yeah, he now has to get a tattoo of Daniel's shoes in.
I wonder if he actually got that done because he's been
Apparently so. Yes.
Oh, good.
But it's because of COVID, obviously, they can't get it done. But he has said it will get done no matter what.
Fair play to the right. Fair play.
Yeah.
It's sports to sport because he's been, as we'll cover in the news later, he's now left the team, but we'll come to that later. Which brings us to Portimao, which was a circuit I was really looking forward to.
Yes.
It's a great track, probably better known for MotoGP and motorbike racing and DTM. But Formula One hadn't been there for many a year. Portimao, yes. Porter Meow. We had the little cat thing, didn't we? I remember that. This is how COVID started. Danny Ricciardo shoeies. Oh, you never know. You never know. And again, qualifying was a Mercedes front row.
Yep.
Max and Leclerc, and then our pink Merc friend in fifth again.
Indeed. See, he's always hiding. He's always hiding.
He is. He is. So we had a bit of rain as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Started
Max,
raining half a lap in.
It did. Fortunately, got the meow pictures are back. Rain at corners 2 and 3. People sliding over it. Oh yeah, and Sainz led for a bit, didn't he? There was McLaren leading the race. That's right. That was a nice sight. And yeah, and then the tyres caught at them because they weren't sure which tyres to be on, slicks or intermediates, etc. Stroll and our man Lando have a little bit of an altercation.
Yep, was Stroll to spin.
That's right. Sainz got back to 10th, which considering how far down he dropped, wasn't too bad. And Perez Gasly gets in 5th. The start of a good couple of weeks for Gasly, you could say. And Hamilton now has 92 wins. Yay! Well done, Lewis. I can't help myself. And I the chat's blowing up. I do hope that we go back there. I do hope it's the TBC.
I from what I've heard, it's looking, especially now with more races pulling out again, like last year, that I think it's going to be very, very likely that we're going back to Portugal.
Yeah,
which will be great.
That would be good, and I think it's nice to get those tracks back in.
Yes,
you know, it's really important that we look after those kind of tracks because for me that's what Formula One is about, the history and I'm
nice to have the tracks where if you make a mistake you're punished.
I was just going to say with that, I mean, I'm not going to rant on sort of about it, but it does help. I think it makes it more of an event when someone crashes. That's it. So you've got to push it to the limit, and you've got to find the limit. Whereas a lot of them, you can just drive over the limit. You fly wide for 100 yards, and it doesn't really matter. You just carry on. So it doesn't. There's no danger in it.
Well, if I scroll back up, there was. What one was it? That was it. It was in the Italian Grand Prix, where when Stroll flew off the track after the restart, where he just was able to drive straight back on, into the place where he was, and it's like, oh, okay. No penalty. No, not necessarily a penalty, but nothing to kind of say, oh, you made a mistake. You should lose a place or two. You know.
It's like if you do that at Monaco, you're out.
Yeah.
Just for the record, I didn't miss Monaco at all this year. Actually, it's just
no, I didn't. It's a lovely old heritage track, but it's great to see old cars race it. But it's just not a track for new cars. The cars are too big.
Yeah. I can see why they go back to the glamour, the glitz, the prestige, whatever you want to call it, and the celebrity of it all. But in terms of a race, it's pretty much a procession. So the only real bit of action that I could find that was any use was this one from this race, which was Max's blowout before you all start. So watch his back tyre. See shortly. There we go.
Yeah, pretty horrendous.
So coming to that, he would have been doing probably well over 150 miles an hour coming up to that turn. So I'm sure there was some new overalls required after that moment.
Definitely, that was down on lap 51.
Yes, it was lap 51.
This
correct.
was another race where Hamilton pitted perfectly. It was perfect timing. He was just outside the pits when the virtual safety car for Ocon stopping happened, and he was just straight in, and So annoying.
And we have to remember that there was another sort of event from this race as well, when we were all hoping that Williams were going to get some points.
Yeah,
George
and
was
so was
looking
George.
good,
I think he's weaving around trying to keep some
then this
tyre
happened.
temperature up, and a boot full of throttle or something, and he's just dropped it.
Oh,
Here we
let's
go.
have a-
That's exactly what he's done.
No.
Never seen a
He's
driver
given it
so
a boot
distraught.
full of throttle to warm the tyre.
Never seen someone looking so upset after that, to be fair to him. But little did he know he was going to have a couple of good races towards the end. Here we are. So he's just stuck his foot down and lost it. Simple as that, all on his own. Very embarrassing for him, I think, more than anything else, because it's quite a rookie mistake. It's not good. Yes, you should go to Brands Hatch, Jez. You should go to the touring cars, which is a fantastic weekend out. And I'm sure we'll all come along.
When COVID's over, I think we should all book a track day. And go flying around the track in, I don't know, whatever. Whether it's a single seater or a McLaren or something.
An F1 day out.
Yeah.
We'll film it. Or we'll blog it, probably is easier. And it'll be
get a GoPro or something and a bit of a vlog.
I just hope that we can get to like a race next year and we'll do it live from the race, which would be cool.
Definitely.
Anyway, so after that, Hamilton won.
Yeah, that was Merck's 7 constructors titles in a row.
Yep.
After that race. Which is crazy.
Domination for the nation. That's what that is.
Yep.
There's
never been a domination from a single team that many times in a row.
Yeah.
Which is why we need these rule changes in 2022.
I still wish they were doing it next year, but obviously they
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shame. So Turkey, wet, cold. We had
very out of season.
Pink Merc on the pole with Daddy's boy.
Yep.
Max was second, Perez, Albon, Danny Rick, and the
racing on what has been for the last God knows how many years a car park.
Yes, yeah, it was. It's owned by a hire car company, and they've been using the track to keep their hire cars parked around. So they'd resurfaced it, and there was no grip at all. No grip at all.
Not a single bit.
And then the wetter it got, it brought the oil up from the tarmac and made it even worse, which was fantastic.
Yep, no rubber would stick down at all.
No, so I mean it was entertaining to watch. It wasn't the greatest race.
The best part for me was the start. I've never seen such a slow, tentative start in my life. No. It was like, has this started yet? Has this started yet? And this is probably Bottas's worst race of the season.
Oh, well, other than Bahrain, perhaps.
Yeah, it just nothing seemed to go right. He spanned 3 times.
Oh yes, he did. Just
it looked as like he was doing some sort of car ballet more than racing around a track.
Yeah, definitely. And that was Hamilton's title-winning race. Yay!
Yes, it was indeed. And look who came second. Perez,
correct.
Always there. And this was the first big time where Vettel got screwed over in the pits.
Yes.
Because he was doing he could have come second.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah. But it was good to see him third. It was great to see him back on the podium.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's
and there was a massive the last few laps. Oh no, it was right. It was the very last lap. Perez was struggling to hold on from tyres, and he was constantly having to fight off Vettel and Leclerc. It was such a good last lap to a race.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. And then we're off to Bahrain. Normally warm, sunny in the desert. Nice weekend away in the sun. But it turned out to be quite the opposite.
Yeah, we were constantly watching the weather report because there was a constant threat of rain in the desert. Brilliant.
There was a couple of notable crashes.
Yes, definitely. One slightly bigger crash than I've seen in a very long time.
Shall we cover that off? Let's cover that
Yep,
off because
little cute girl's been waiting for this.
She has been waiting for it. So let me. I'll hit the appropriate button And here we
I
are.
think this is the least amount of time we spoke
Somehow
on a
they're
stream.
getting through, but
It was.
Bottas then obviously on his back foot. And that's where the scuffle
for it.
was, look, right in the middle of the
Look
pack.
at the bottom of the screen.
And Roman's
Genuinely thought he was dead.
registering that. Look, ahead of him now are 4 or 5 cars. And but the retardation of the front of that monocle
Bonkers.
must have been
Absolutely
instant.
bonkers.
It's gone nowhere, has it? Look,
Yeah,
it's gone
absolutely.
5
If it wasn't for that
meters
medical
down
car,
the barriers.
he'd have died in there.
Just the retardation alone.
Hands
was enough.
down.
Now he's sitting in a ball of flame.
There's a bit of
Yeah.
here we go. This is the one.
Great.
You know, sort of scuffling around ahead of him.
I
He
still
saw an
don't understand
opportunity,
why
and also
he made
was
that
amongst
move.
them.
One over the barrier,
There it is.
but the impact was so severe.
Yeah, that's
The
how
other
we saw it.
wheel,
Yeah.
say tyres, it's the whole wheel.
It was like,
has
shit,
gone
he's
bouncing
gone.
across the circuit.
And then of course we do get the
the
good bit
drivers,
where
the
he
FIA
got
timed
out.
the
I mean that sums it
drivers
up. That look at the
getting
flames there.
out of a car,
Yeah.
and when before the halo was introduced, they
Just
were going
incredible.
through quite a
And
few
all
tests.
due to the fact that the way that barrier is constructed and the height of the nose just happened to split the two barriers.
Yeah.
And him go through the center. And for him to be one of those people that was massively against the halo when it came in.
He was, absolutely. Which he has
To,
since corrected in his
Now he has said that he will not race another car, open cockpit car, unless it has a halo.
wise words, probably.
Yeah, God, yeah. But yeah, it's the longest time when we saw that all of us were just silent, other than probably the words "holy shit."
There were a few holy shits around there, to be fair.
My missus was in the other room and was like wondering what the hell had gone on.
Mm. Yeah, it was very strange indeed. And that was the main event of the race, really. It's, I mean, Lewis won. Max came in not far behind him, but was never really had the legs to beat him. I don't think. But Albon did get a podium there in third, which was yeah.
Yes, it was at that point where people were saying it's going to be Perez, not him, and he needed this.
Mm.
He massively needed this, but I genuinely think it was a flash in the pan.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, he was still 8 seconds behind Max. Lando was only 3 seconds behind him, along with Sainz.
Sainz was there as well. Yeah, Gasly was there.
It's fair play, and that was. And then we had some great news, didn't we? Some great news for the next race.
We did.
Lewis has got COVID.
Yes.
Oh, dear me.
What a shame.
And there was the will he, won't he, and then they stuck George in the car. And we all thought, bloody fantastic. That's what we want. And didn't the boy do well? To be fair, yeah.
He topped the first 2 practice sessions, and then was 0.2 of a second behind Max in the 3rd practice session.
Yeah. It's I mean,
basically, it was the whole of this race and qualifying became not about George. It became about Bottas.
Yeah.
Because this put him massively under pressure, because on paper he should wipe the floor. Absolutely wipe the floor.
Yeah, shouldn't even have been a contest, really.
No.
He just jumped in the car and he was quicker than him straight away. Because I didn't watch Prix when I came over. I think I was working and I couldn't get to a screen, and I saw the results and I went, nice. Thought, maybe they turned his engine up to give him a bit of a boost, like and the rest of it. So P2. Oh, all right, fair enough. Watch practice 3. Oh, this is nice. Yep. And qualifying, I was ecstatic for the boy. I was ecstatic.
God, yeah. Yeah. So close to Bottas.
And then he had a good start to the race, didn't he? He got going. He was doing well.
Yeah.
But then this happened.
Straight into first.
And sadly, this is what happened. I'll put it on for you all. And I think I speak for us all when we all hope that he gets the opportunity again really, really, really soon, because I really, really want him back in that car.
Yep, massively. I genuinely, I think because of that, that's why we haven't heard anything about Lewis's contract negotiations.
Still going on. I mean, Lewis technically still doesn't have a drive for next year.
Nope.
I mean, I'm sure it'll get sorted. I'm sure they'll go, oh, okay, we'll come down 10 million if you go up 10 million, whatever, and
Yep.
and they'll meet in the middle somewhere. But it goes to show that I don't want to get on it's the car, not the driver brigade. But you could say that someone just hopped in the car, should have won the race twice, and had never driven the thing before. I mean, yes, you've driven a Formula One car, but you haven't driven that car. You'd never. I mean, that car is probably 2.5 seconds a lap quicker than what he's used to. So it's
Yeah.
it is different. It is different. But I mean, coming back to the race, it was a decent result in the end. To be fair,
Yeah.
I mean, Perez won, which was great. It was a completely different podium to what we're used to. We had Perez, Ocon, and Stroll.
Yeah.
Sainz came in fourth. Danny Rick got a fifth. So it was a day for the other teams to score points as well, because that battle was still going on for the constructors, sort of fourth, fifth, and sixth, third,
Yep.
fourth, fifth, and sixth with McLaren, Pink Mercs, Renault, and even Ferrari. So that was a big result for them all, really, because they all scored points, particularly Racing Point, who came first and third. So they got a shed load of points. And if you add on the points that they got deducted at the start of the season, they probably would have finished there.
Yeah.
Jez has found it. Jez has found it. I'd completely forgotten we did that. I was going to mention that earlier on. Jez has redeemed a fave Formula One memory or fact. So if you want to go for it, and it can be from anywhere. It can be from anywhere.
For me,
Yep.
It is my favourite memory will always be watching Spa 98 and the carnage of that first lap, and seeing drivers legging it back to the pits to get in back in the day, the third car, the spare car, to go out and race, and then seeing Damon win it.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely loved that race.
For those that are wondering what he's talking about, let me just show you this clip, because it was.
Oh, you've got to see a clip of it. It's
one hell of a
more
stunt.
magic than anything we saw this season.
Grand Prix, and the winner at 41% was the 1998 race. Let's have a look back at that action-packed Sunday.
And it was Murray on commentary.
Would have been, yeah.
It was
Here we go.
McLaren front row for the very wet start. Mika Hakkinen was cleanly away, but David Coulthard lagged back, opening a gap down the inside for Michael
Schumacher. This is the perfect
Schumacher.
term for batshit
DC
crazy.
ran wide out of La Source, and the next instant there was
There
mayhem
it is.
as Coulthard ran up on the exit curb and spun back into the middle of
Look
the
at
pack,
all that.
triggering a multi-car shunt and eliminating several cars on the spot.
And then someone just plows in at full speed.
Yeah.
Significantly, Damon Hill squeezed his Jordan through the flying wheels and debris.
You see the aftermath there, it was just absolute chaos. And yeah, that was one hell of a race that was. I can remember watching that as well. For me, there's just so many. It's, for me, probably Jenson Button winning the title. That was it for me, I think, personally. Because I know how hard they'd worked to get that team going, even because they bought it literally a couple of months before the season started.
Yeah, none of them had a job or a race.
Yeah.
At that point.
Nope. And then when obviously they were miles ahead, Jenson was a lot quicker than Rubens, because Rubens was never really that great anyway, in my opinion. And yeah, he won the world title, and that was the last time that a proper independent, coming from nowhere sort of team, although they bought the Honda team, I suppose, in some ways. Just think,
but Honda were nowhere before that, really.
No, but if Honda had kept the team, they would have won the world title. How funny would that have been? And I wonder where Honda would have ended up. And we might not have had a
Merc.
Yeah, well, that turned into the Mercedes team then, didn't it, as well? So it all came from there.
1 year later.
And so yeah, that's my memory, or my favourite memory, I should say. And then last but not least was the damn squid that was at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, that was, considering the season we just had and the races we just had. Yeah, I think all three of us, when we sat there watching it, were just so kind of unimpressed and disappointed, to be fair.
Yeah, it really didn't do much, did it? And I mean, it was a win, for Max, which is good. We're all happy with that. That's ideal. But other than that, it was fairly.
It was
fairly
just a
dull.
procession, wasn't it? It was.
And Lewis really wasn't fit. I still maintain now that he wasn't with it properly. He was just desperate not to get George back in his seat again.
Yep.
Because if you look at Lewis after the race, he's exhausted. He's knackered. He's got nothing, and that's not normally how he looks. So
No, not at all.
I think he rushed himself back because he could see what George had done the week before, and thought,
Yes.
"Oh shit, I'd better get back in there." Thanks, Jez, for the bot banning. And so yeah, that was a bit of a damp one. But it rounded off a season that, like we said at the start, that we didn't think we'd have.
Yep.
So that's good.
It's an odd thing about Abu Dhabi, because it's been a long time since the final race of the season has come down to the title.
Yeah.
I think Mark Webber was still driving, and it was that whole kind of, he just lost out, but there was still a few people that could take it. Was that Vettel's 4th championship?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And it's just one of those odd races where, by that point, no one really gives a shit.
Yeah, they only have it there because it's kind of money, isn't it? That's the reason.
They pay to be the last race of the season.
Exactly, which is. But I mean, I guess that perhaps they do it because they have the test afterwards as well for the young driver test.
Yeah, that's true.
Still a waste of time.
But the big thing for this race, obviously, was there were still 3 teams.
Yeah.
4 teams. Oh no, I think Ferrari were technically out by this point, but there were 3 teams that could have won 3rd place.
Yes, very, very, very much. I mean, as it finished, McLaren got 3rd on 202 points.
Yeah.
The Pink Mercs had 195, but if they hadn't lost those 15 points at the start, they would have finished 3rd. Worth remembering. Renault had 181, so they were still in it as well. But Ferrari 6th, 131 points. That's really poor from them. I mean, if you think
massively
that obviously Mercedes won it, but they had 573. Red Bull was 2nd with 319, and really, if you go from Red Bull down is where the championship starts, I guess, because Mercedes were that far ahead. It was actually quite a close season for the rest of them. So that was good.
And like we said, with all those races, there was so much close battling between all of them.
Yeah. And AlphaTauri scored 107 points, so they were only 20-odd points off Ferrari, which would have been they'd have finished 7th. Wow, that's good, and just about covers off the season, doesn't it? I guess. And
yeah, pretty much.
Should we have a quick look at what's happened since our last show? Any news and stuff that's going on? And
yeah, definitely.
It's probably worth having a quick.
Other than there's a few things that we've talked about throughout the season.
Yep.
Obviously, we'll get a bit more in detail with these, but Racing Point are becoming Aston Martin.
Very much. Racing Green.
Renault are becoming Alpine.
Yeah, blue, I think, is the colour for Alpine.
Yes, like a sky blue.
It could look nice.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see when the car launches come around in a month or so, the colour schemes and
yes, definitely
how it all looks. Because I would imagine there'll be a few when there's at least 2.
You know what? One of my favourite colours of cars this season was it the 1000th Grand Prix where Ferrari went that kind of dark burgundy?
Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
Lovely colour.
I wish they'd kept that. It was very, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the orange, the McLaren orange. I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a papaya orange, I should say. It just looks really nice. And so yeah, I think there'll be a lot more calendar changes to come yet. I mean, by no means is COVID done and dealt with.
No, we've already lost a few tracks already.
Yeah, but the Australian Grand Prix has gone back to the back of the year, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yep.
There's talk of the street races at Monaco, Azerbaijan, and Montreal going already.
Yep.
Not confirmed, but still there's no smoke without fire for this kind of thing. And so we'll see what happens there. But if that opens up some more slots for some of the tracks we like, then I suppose that's all right.
China's definitely gone as well.
Yeah.
So there's no surprise there.
No, I don't think anybody wanted to go to China really anyway. But
they're having another massive wave at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad track actually. But
Yes.
I don't think it's a good time to go to China for anyone, though, really, is it? So it's
No.
not with particularly. The closer they can keep it to where the teams are all based, which is the UK basically and Italy, I guess.
Yeah, basically kind of around Silverstone in the local area.
Yeah, that's what they'll probably try and do until maybe the end of the season. That is when all the flyaways are scheduled anyway, isn't it?
I'm hoping this year, if we ever double up on tracks again, I hope they take it out of Bahrain's book and make it a slightly different track, because that was great.
It was, absolutely. Yeah, they should definitely do that, because
I know to start with, they weren't sure how many races or tracks they were going to get to do Austria and Silverstone twice, but it was a bit boring.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk of Silverstone being driven the other way, but as it turns out, they aren't actually licensed to race the track the other way. They can't. They're not allowed.
No, they would have to have completely redone the grid and
all of the runoffs are wrong. Like the gravel traps are in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So if you're going towards a corner, there's no gravel trap because you'd be coming the other way. So the gravel trap is there rather than on the corner. So that was the reason why they didn't do anything with Silverstone apparently. But there are different versions of Silverstone, but they're all too short. Like you've got the track the touring cars use and stuff like that in Formula 3. But to stick a Formula 1 car around that, you'd be looking at like 30-second laps. So they've got to use the full track, and there's only one. But there will be other tracks they can do that with, I'm sure. And, hopefully they do.
I was hoping they'd try and pick something like Brands or Donington or something. That would have been great.
I think even Brands Hatch would be under a minute now in a Formula 1 car.
Yeah.
It's not the longest of tracks, that one either. I think it was only just over like 110 when they were
Do they not have the full circuit anymore?
I think that was. When was it Donington? Sorry, when Senna won that race in the wet. So that wasn't a particularly long lap in terms of Formula 1 either.
No.
Stuff it. Just send them around the old Nürburgring track. Just right way around. 7 minutes. Crack on, boys.
Oh, I think that'd destroy a Formula 1 car.
Yeah, it's probably.
It would be great, but I think it'd destroy it.
I'm quite surprised that
the old Nordschleifer.
That like Red Bull haven't done that yet.
Yes.
It'd be funny if they did.
I know Max would definitely be up for it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd have a go. I'd probably kill myself on the first corner, but I'd go out happy, wouldn't I? That's something. And anything's better than lockdown. So Aston Martin are building a new F1 factory.
They are indeed.
Although it's 12 months behind schedule. So they're looking at opening that in 2021, or supposedly. But it's not going to be ready until August next year now. So that might slow them down a bit because that's got all the wind tunnel stuff and the new R&D stuff that Mr. Stroll Senior has paid for and invested in. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And speaking of investment, McLaren have had another major injection of cash.
Great news.
Yeah, absolutely. Although you've got the budget cap, at least they'll be able to push the budget cap and get there, and keep the resources to keep on pushing to get to the front. So they've sold they're selling the McLaren Technology Centre to private investors, which will give them some more money. And I think I speak for most people when I say that I'd like to see McLaren winning races again.
And, they're selling it but leasing it, putting in the clause that they're leasing it back, which frees up a massive lump of cash.
Absolutely. And and of course they're going to have the Mercedes engine next year, McLaren. Worth remembering that. So that might give them another little boost. Because that Renault engine is not the Mercedes engine by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll see where they get to. And goodbye Cyril the Squirrel as well.
Yeah, indeed.
Wasn't expecting that.
No, that definitely kind of came out of the blue.
Yeah. Apparently the Suzuki MotoGP team manager David Brivio, will be the team manager at Alpine. Nearly did it.
Yep.
Next year. So that'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting to see how he goes from bikes to cars.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how he copes. I mean, there's lots of bits and bobs, I guess. And and that brings us on to what we're doing, what our plans are for this year, Duff.
I'm going to be king of the world.
King of the world, king of
the stream,
King of the Beard, and take it on from there. I think obviously we're planning to do some podcasts. We're planning to do. I think we're going to carry on doing the whole race because that seems to go down well.
Definitely, that's good fun. That
I certainly liked because what you might not realise is that we're watching it together anyway, and we just turn the cameras on for the last 20 laps. So it makes sense to be streaming for the whole thing. We're going to look at having a couple of guests throughout the year. We did that last year, and it was good. It was good. We had Amy on. And she joined us for, I can't remember what race it was now, but she joined us for a race. And that was good to have a different opinion rather than staring at our 3 mugs for the whole race. And if anyone's watching that thinks they'd like to come and have a go at it, by all means, we are open to suggestions. If you want to come and guest on the show with me and Duff, then you can.
Indeed.
So that will be fun. We'll certainly entertain you if you want to come and have a go. And we're going to try and push the Facebook channel and do lots more kind of stuff with that as well, and see where we end up. So keep watching.
Indeed. So pretty much us for today, isn't it?
Yeah. We're going to do a little show coming before the start of the season, aren't we, as well?
Yes, definitely. Sort of a pre-season show to take you through everything that's happened and what's coming up, and what kind of season we're going to have, I suppose, now, because we don't know.
We do not. I mean, it just keeps changing, and even if we were to say now what it's going to be, it's going to be different by the time it comes around, probably. I mean, at the moment, as it stands, the first race is the 28th of March in Bahrain.
Yep.
Followed after a couple of weeks in Italy with Imola. And then there's a TBC on the 2nd of May, which we're hoping will be Portugal. We hope.
Yes.
We'll never know. Pre-season testing kicks off at the beginning of March, I believe, hopefully.
Yep.
Not quite sure